Hi, we're back again with the last part of the Agashan Discourses. Of course, I've only read a few little bits and pieces of this book, but I want to mention before I continue a little book. It's a beautiful little book. It's well worth buying. It's called The Quiet Mind, The Sayings of White Eagle, which is White Eagle, an American Indian. He channels through a lady named Grace Cook in England. And I'll just read the table of contents to give you some idea. The master soul is constant. Is gentle, loving, kind, is tolerant, is calm, quiet, and steady, is strong to serve, is wise in speech and action, is a tower of strength and light, bears no resentment, is patient, trusting in God's goodness and His perfect plan. The White Eagle Publishing Trust, which publishes and distributes the White Eagle teaching, is part of the wider work of the White Eagle Lodge, an undenominational Christian church founded in 1936 to give practical expression to the White Eagle teaching. Here men and women may come to learn the reason for their life on earth and how to serve and live in harmony with the whole brotherhood of life, visible and invisible, in health and happiness. Readers wishing to know more of the work of White Eagle Lodge may write to the General Secretary, gives the address, and on the internet, of course. Now, introduction. The Quiet Mind comes in response to many requests for a collection of White Eagle's sayings, chosen to give guidance and help with the problems and experiences of everyday life. The title is from White Eagle's own words in Grace Cook's book, Meditation. The secret of strength lies in the quiet mind. A passage from the same book enumerates those qualities of soul revealed in the beautiful and perfect personality of the Master, qualities to which the disciple himself aspires on his own path towards mastership, and provides the framework for the quiet mind. For the sayings fall into groups arranged around each of these qualities in turn, to help us to face with courage and wisdom those trials of every day, both great and small, which come to test us whether we ring true. The passage in question reads, if you can think of yourself as being all that you know you should be, constant, gentle, loving and kind, to every man, woman and child, and to every circumstance in life, kind and tolerant in your attitude towards all conditions on earth. Above all, if you can conceive yourself as being completely calm in all conditions and circumstances, quiet and yet strong, strong to aid your weaker brethren, strong to speak the right word, to take the right action, and so become a tower of strength and light. If you can see yourself facing injustice and unkindness with a serene spirit, knowing that all things work out in time for good, and that justice is always eventually triumphant. If you have patience to await the process of the outworking of the will of God, you can picture becoming like this. You will know something of mastership. White Eagle speaks not from a remote height, but as one who himself trod this way when on earth through many, many lives. He speaks with authority, but with real and tender love and understanding, often with humor, always constructively, never critically. If we can follow where he leads, each one of us can at least find strength and comfort in tribulation. At most, we shall find perfect happiness. Well, that's all I'll read right now, but we should continue that a little later. Let me just finish some more of the Agashan Discourses. The Core of Life by Agasha. My blessed disciples, Mansahala, and bless each and every one. I shall begin the class tonight by saying in the beginning, now this phrase should send your inquiring occult mind racing back through the eons of time, flashing out through seemingly unending, incomprehensible space, darkness light eternity, but there is no way for the human mind to conceive how the beginning really was, or when it was, or even if there were a beginning, and we certainly don't know from a mortal standpoint if there will ever be an end. However, as students of the occult, we know that there will never be an end. How do we know it? We know it intuitively and not necessarily from our reasoning faculties. It is a godly instinct that tells us that there shall never be an end, and as far as we are concerned, there was never a beginning. That is, a true beginning. The only way to say that there would be a beginning would be to say that on this particular planet, for instance, there was a beginning. You have learned in your classes that some 25 million years ago, you as human expression first came onto this planet Earth. There was also a beginning on other planets, and a beginning on still others, and were in existence even before this present group of planets was born. And it goes on, back to the time when you, as a spark of divinity, were first spewed forth from the great core of life, the divine consciousness. God itself, but even this was not the true beginning, because before the beginning we were back in the great core of life, that great oneness. We were an integral part of the collective whole, the God Self, the universal consciousness of God. I am incapable at the moment of saying how we first became a part of the God Self, or how we first came into manifestation. I can only use the terms beginning and ending when I am in reference to leaving the core of life or returning back to the core of life. Thus you are not to ask questions such as when were we first brought into the core of life? How were we brought into the core of life? Who created the core of life? There has never been a teacher whom we can refer to that is a teacher who has used the language of the earth plane, who has explained that. The only thing that we can say regarding it is that we are now living in eternity. We have always lived in eternity, and we always shall live in eternity. We have lived forever and shall live forever. We have always been and we always shall be. This is a tremendous thought indeed. Therefore, the ultimate must now be studied. That is, if we can possibly employ a language to express it or describe it. I can only say this: long before the countless solar systems were brought into manifestation, in reference to the many planets, stars, gaseous bodies, and so forth, space was null and void of all that is now in existence. The theater of infinite space was empty. The actors had not yet made their appearance. Everything, every solitary atom was back in that great core of life, the divine state, the oneness. We might say that infinite space, that vast outer consciousness of God, slept. However, the inner consciousness of God, the focal point of infinite intelligence, the Godhead, if you wish to use the term, was very much awake. That is where we were. That is where you and I had our spark of divinity. But in the beginning, we were fused together in such a manner so as to become an integral part of the collective whole. Therefore, collectively, we represent the God consciousness. We were the God then, and we are the God today. Only today we are individualized expressions of that oneness. But let us strive to understand that we are now visualizing our state in the beginning, if we can. Okay, I think our time's up. Continue later.